meeting. Is everybody good with the business meeting?
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody has anything you want to talk about in particular, feel free to shoot a message over to Lewis on that, and that's a good opportunity to talk about things in general. So,
Okay.
Morning.
Lewis,
Morning.
good morning.
Good
Are
morning.
you ready to start, you think? Anybody else expected to be here that we haven't seen yet?
No, this is everybody. Yeah, we don't have any other commissioners, so yeah.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started then? Is that all
Yep.
right with everybody?
Yeah.
Lewis, do you want to show us the agenda, and we'll just start with that. We'll call the meeting to order.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm trying to live stream that's why I was a little late getting here. I was trying to live stream the meeting, and I'm hitting an error message. So give me just one moment to try and fix this, if you don't mind, and we'll get started.
So here's it's come full circle here. When we all started out, I could barely manage to get on the doggone stuff, and here we all are, and ready to go. We're gonna go. Hey, Lewis, what's the matter with you anyway here?
I think it's a sign that we should go back to live meetings next month.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting to be too good at this stuff here. Scary.
I don't know why it won't let me live stream the meeting. WebEx just updated their whole thing. You can see it's all black now, and I don't know what's going on.
That's bad.
It's time to get off of here, right? Once they start making updates and making it harder for us. Yeah. Let me see.
You don't have a helper today.
No, I've been going solo the last couple meetings. I'd just rather do it myself, I guess, and just save on staff time and stuff like that. But well, I guess we're gonna do without the live stream. I don't think I can do anything about it.
Let's do that.
Let's just get going.
Let's fumble our way through this. Let's see. We call the meeting to order. Do we swear in the staff first? Is that how that goes, Lewis?
Yeah, give me a second here. I'll pull up the agenda. Get that out of there.
Oh, good. Agenda's great. That's what I was looking for. I can't find it on my phone here, so.
There we go.
And I can't get it on my screen at the same time.
So there we go. You see it?
No, we see gray,
A blank
a big
screen.
gray box.
Right.
Well, even if we're out of sequence, it doesn't really matter. Lewis, why don't you raise your right hand? Is there anyone else from the city then? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Okay. Then we have the roll call. Can you do that for us, Lewis?
Yeah. You still just see a gray box?
No,
No,
good.
Well, I can see the agenda and everything.
Oh, now you see the agenda. Okay, very good.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, excellent. So,
You're a wizard, Lewis.
don't know about that. All right. So, Steve Whitman.
Here.
Okay. Mike Lusk.
Here.
Bob Loversige.
Here.
Jana. Maniac.
Here.
Ted Hardesty.
Here.
Tony Slanik.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, quorum is declared. Lewis, do you want to go over the overview of the hearing format, please?
Sure. So the way that the meeting is going to work is, let me pull this up here real quick. All right, so attendees are muted upon entry. You will be unmuted as appropriate. The chair will call on participants to speak. If you have questions, you may send a message via WebEx chat to the host, which is me, staff. You will be required to have your video feature on if you are speaking, and the meeting is being recorded. To access meeting materials, you can go to the website listed right there. Part of the official public record. So the meeting is about to start. Applicants and speakers, please turn off your video at this time. Use the hidden control panel in WebEx to turn the video off. Staff will ask you to turn your video on prior to speaking. And there are no speaker slips for this meeting, Steve.
Okay.
So
Very
applicants
good.
and speakers, I'll just do this real quick. Order of speaking, city staff will present application materials. Applicant will be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials. Registered speakers will be sworn in and provided 3 minutes to speak each, and commissioners will discuss this case and ask questions if needed. There you go.
Very good. Okay, let's go ahead and approve the minutes from the last meeting. If I could have a motion to do so.
I motion to approve the meeting minutes.
And is there a second? That was Tony.
Second.
Second, Jana. Are there any corrections or deletions? Any additions?
I didn't see
Uh,
anything.
Hearing none. All those in favor of approval say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, let's go right on to the cases. Lewis, first case, please.
Okay, so the first case, we're going to start with our continued application. The first case is at 16 West Main Street. This is the main bar. And let me pull up the map location right here off the intersection of High Street and East Main Street in this large parking lot right here. This is the building. And pull up the staff report here. Okay, so the applicant, as you know, they're proposing to demolish the 2-story building and replace it with 7 parking spaces. So none of that has changed. The history of the building remains the same. The update is that 2 structural reports were completed for this property. One carried out on behalf of the applicant by Joseph Lewis, the other carried out at the request of the city by Andrew Barone. I received that second report yesterday. I shared it with the applicant and with the commissioners. Both reports indicate that there are structural issues with the building, rendering it unsafe, and that safety perimeters be set up until the building can be demolished. Mr. Lewis's report states that the building should be raised, and Mr. Barone's report states that the condition of the building is beyond repair. So our analysis, code section 3359.21 states that no owner of a property or structure shall by willful action or willful neglect fail to provide sufficient and reasonable care, maintenance, and upkeep to such property or structure, including the maintenance and upkeep to areas within the public right-of-way that are by virtue of other codes and ordinances the responsibility of the property owner to maintain. We also state that the guidelines should consider, the commission should consider if the building is in a deteriorated state such that it cannot economically be rehabilitated. And as always with surface parking, it should be screened. It should be limited downtown to ensure a responsible approach to the provision of parking downtown. So in summary, the building is quite old and there are very few examples left like it downtown. The property has not maintained in accordance with code 59.21, and therefore planning feels this demolition would constitute demolition by neglect. However, based off of the 2 structural reports, staff feels that the building meets the guidelines with regard to demolition. This is a change from our position last month. If demolition is approved, the city's historic preservation officer has asked the commission to consider a HABs report prior to demolition. And then following that, the replacement parking does not meet the guidelines with regards to surface parking. Therefore, planning would like the commission to consider conditioning approval of demolition on the applicant bringing the entire parking lot up to the appropriate standards, or the commission could potentially issue a temporary COA for parking or condition the demolition on an appropriate replacement being submitted. Just a couple ideas for the commission to consider. I can show you, we still have the site visits. If you want, I can show that. I did take this picture. I went by there again. You can see they boarded up the front of the building and they did put up some warning tape, but doesn't extend out onto the sidewalk. And that's it.
Who's here for the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, Mike Shannon is here along with Jared Schiff and Eric Zartman.
Okay, would Mike, Eric, and Jared please raise your right hands? Thank you. Eric, can I get you on screen, please? Thanks. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. Who's going to speak for the applicant then?
I am, Mr. Chairman. In the interest of time, we had a lot of discussion last month. I know
Yes.
Commissioner Leversage was not present, but the bottom line is that the chief building official of the city asked for a third party structural analysis. That analysis we received yesterday confirmed the same findings of the applicant structural engineer, that the building needs to be demolished. Louis, I don't believe I received your revised staff report. I'm sure you probably sent it out, but today was the first time I saw the additional conditions. I would respectfully submit that we do meet the criteria established for the demolition of this contributing historic structure. I think that's been validated not only by our engineer, but the third-party engineer retained by the city. With respect to the notion that we haven't identified a replacement project other than a parking lot, I would simply state this, that I think we did share some iterations, conceptual iterations of what Mr. Schiff would like to do on this marquee corner in the future. Obviously, this building is an impediment to that. The fact of the matter is the building is surrounded by a parking lot now, as staff indicates, and the demolition of the building will result in an interim use of a parking lot. But Mr. Chairman, I have done a couple dozen demolitions in historic districts.
I'm sorry, Mike, you broke up.
One of the first cases.
Could you go back for a second? You said, and start back where you started and say, I have done a number of demolitions in historic.
I have done.
You broke up then.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've done a number of demolitions in the historic districts throughout my career. And inevitably, sometimes the testimony says you're tearing down paradise to put up a parking lot. Well, we're surrounded by a parking lot. Our interim use is a parking lot. And the only paradise we found in this bar was the pair in the back room they used to shoot craps. So with all due respect to this commission, we think that we should be allowed to demolish the property. You can condition it on us bringing.
I'm sorry, Mike, we lost you again. You can condition it on what you did. We missed that.
You're breaking up, Mike.
Okay, I'm sorry about my, I'll change to my phone in a second. Okay, that pretty well does it. I'm good.
No, well, you made a comment and then you broke up and you said you can condition it on, and then you broke up.
The submission of a project. Can't hear me?
Now, try again now. Okay, we can't, we've lost you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to call in, Mike.
But in fact, your video is not working now, I think, Mike. We see your face, but no, there we go. You might be back.
Okay, I'll try one more time, then I'll call in. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear
Yeah,
you.
it sounds good too.
Yeah, it sounds
Okay.
good.
So you could rightfully condition it on a future replacement project. We just don't have the timeline in place for that project. And that would conclude my comments at this time. I'd be happy to answer questions, and I'll call in if the audio continues to be a problem.
What do you mean by, what would that mean to you? You can condition it on a future project.
Well, the code provides that you need to sometimes evaluate a replacement project when you're doing these demolitions.
Right.
Well,
And because
that assumes an imminent project,
extradition.
not a perhaps maybe in the future project.
Okay.
Well, okay, I think we get the gist here. What's the, yeah, sure. Any questions from the commission? Any thoughts?
I have, as you might imagine, a couple comments. First of all, I've renovated buildings in much worse shape than this one. And I'm somewhat disturbed by the two reports. I'm not going to try to dispute them because I haven't been in the building and there's not, the timing's not right. But for them to go into a rubble stone foundation Civil War era building and find that it's damp and it's wet and some of the mortar's missing from the masonry is, if that were the criteria, there wouldn't be any old buildings left in downtown Columbus. Um, so all of the damage that I saw in those reports is stuff that's pretty typical of somebody who's completely neglected a building for 50 to 100 years. And I guess there's no penalty for demolition by neglect, but that's clearly what this is. And I don't know about the front wall, but it doesn't appear as the owners were concerned about it enough to follow the engineer's recommendation that the sidewalk be blocked off. So if it's in imminent danger of collapse, I would think that should be done right away. As far as whether the building's important or not, and maybe this was addressed last month, and I apologize if I'm being redundant, but this is a building that if the whole block were intact, it would be a background building. It's not a spectacular landmark all of itself. On the other hand, every time we lose buildings like this, the ones that remain become much more valuable. And there aren't very many of these. So it is a valuable historic building that's been unfortunately neglected for a long time. As far as it being a pay parking lot, I didn't think we were allowed to add those in downtown. I could be wrong. And I can tell you that in a past case where it was Grant Hospital tore down an historic building in the middle of a parking lot, and we allowed them to tear it down because they promised, of course, they were going to build something new. And this has probably been 15 years and they haven't done anything. But we didn't allow them to put a parking lot there. It's a little park, it's grass. And so I'm just putting those things out there as precedent from the past and acknowledgement of the importance of this building. So the city preservation officer has suggested that we ask for a pretty detailed report on the building. I think if we're going to demolish this building, I think that's essential. And that's not a big hardship on the owner. So I think that at the very least ought to be part of whatever action we take.
Are you talking, Bob, about the Habs report?
Yeah.
And that goes to the Library of Congress, right? So that there will always be a record of the building.
Right, and it would be deposited at the Columbus Metropolitan Library's a local history collection. Probably that's probably the most accessible place for it to be. We got a really good one on the WCOL building on Broad Street.
Bob, we did commit to a Habs report last month.
Good. Okay.
Mike, how long has this owner owned the building?
I believe 5 years. Jared could correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we actually just recently got control of this building. It had been on a ground lease for some time. So yeah, we didn't have total control over it until recently.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I was wondering if the building is demolished and there is a parking lot put in there is a parking lot now, but you will be, of course, filling in that part where the building is with additional parking. And are you planning to bring the whole parking lot up to the design standards where it would be properly landscaped, properly screened, and also looking at lighting and everything to bring that up to to our standards?
It's my understanding we'd have to submit for a change of use for the lot in question, which would trigger those requirements. So that would be the normal protocol.
Okay.
Applied to whom for changing use?
Well, since we'd have to do a zoning clearance review through the city to change the use of record from a C4 restaurant to the parking lot and submit the necessary zoning clearance plans.
Well, we're the zoning board.
Okay, then if you want to.
Downtown.
Yeah, it's not C4, it's Downtown Commission zoning.
I apologize. I apologize.
Yeah, no
So I
problem.
guess we would submit that to you.
Are these stacked spots? Is that the idea that you're thinking
Yeah,
about? They look, okay, so you're picking up 2, 4, 6, 7, and slots kind of basically behind existing slots. Okay. I mean, we obviously we don't want another curb cut here. I don't think you can get one. They've got one on the street. Do you own the parcel to the east of this as well that fronts on High Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you'd go all the way from the alley to High Street, the entire distance. Well, what's the pleasure of the group? I mean, I don't know how much you can tweak it. How long have those parking lots been there? They've kind of pretty much been there forever, haven't they? Before the downtown commission came along, or the downtown parking plan and everything.
That's true.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking somebody that might know. I just don't happen to know, but I don't remember buildings being there. So that's been there, other than the bar here. Well, what's everybody want to do here? We've got 2 reports. I think we got a building, for what it's worth. I mean, I personally think that kind of what Bob was saying, that, it is an old building. It's a shame to see that go, but it's just stuck there in the middle of a lot. If you guys actually came in with a project, demolition on this thing would probably be pretty straightforward, I would think. Somebody once upon a time, fixed it up and took the front of the building off. And from a historic standpoint, it's kind of like some of that stuff we had along High Street, where they went in with chisels and took the cornice off and some of the architectural details and put a nice metal screen over the front of it. So it's kind of too bad, and it's there all by itself. So, but what does everybody want to do? We've gotten 2 reports. The building, however, gotten into that shape. And if in fact these guys have owned it for 5 years, this demolition by neglect didn't all occur in 5 years. So
That's true.
So what's everybody want to do? Can I hear a motion from somebody?
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know what other people think, but I think that if I would be okay with the demolition because of the 2 reports, even though I know what, Bob is saying is true, and it's a real pity what happened, but I would only be comfortable if the whole lot were brought up to standard, where you have the screening, whether it's the brick, the masonry wall, or the piers, the landscaping, and proper lighting, just so that, because typically we do have, like construction on the horizon, new construction or on the horizon, and we don't. So I think at the very least, we would want to see the parking lot look attractive and well kept and up to our design guidelines. And then I would make sure that we have the condition that there should be the HABs report as one of the conditions as well.
Anybody else have a thought on what we do here?
Mike or Jared, do you have, can you give us any, not a commitment, but any notion of what you think the timing for a real project on the site might be?
Jared?
Yeah. I think within the next, we're in June. Look, we've been looking to do a project for the last probably 8 to 12 months, and we've had, plenty of meetings with our construction teams and investors, et cetera. I don't think it's too far away. I'm not going to give a definitive time, but
I understand.
I don't think, I'd say within the next 6 to 12 months, we could potentially have, plans in front of the city to review, and your board, if it were to go in front of your board. So that's about the best timeline I can give you. I can say we really want to do something beautiful at this corner. We know it's a critical corner to downtown. And that's, that's what we're looking to do. But, the timing's got to be right. And of course, the project has to make sense for us.
I could imagine, I don't know if I can vote to tear this building down, but yeah, it's going to go, I'm sure. So I could imagine approving a temporary parking permit for the whole lot with a timeline that says if we don't have a project in the hopper by X, like a year, 2 years, whatever it would be, and the applicant would have to come back here with a plan to update the entire lot to meet our parking standards.
That is
Something like
acceptable.
that.
Would something
It
like
seems
that
like,
work? Yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Bob. Would something like
yeah, I mean,
that
I
work
think
for the
I think that would
applicant?
be reasonable because it's a
I
crappy
do
parking
too.
lot, and you know, doing something,
I don't
spending a
see
lot
any
of money
reason
to
that-
improve it for a year
Right.
seems.
That's kind of where I am, and I think the number ought to be either 2 years or 3 years. Does that work for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
And a HABs report? Can we
Yes,
put
sir.
together a motion around that?
Yes, sir.
Bob, do you want to put together a motion around that, and then you feel free to vote against it on a matter of principle?
Well, we
Let's
have
have
to.
somebody, or Jenna, if you want to. that's
Somebody
fine.
else
You
do
start
it.
off with however you want to
No,
do
I
it.
think, okay, I think that makes sense. I agree with Bob that it's true. If there's new construction that will be within a year or two, then it doesn't make sense to put the money in. And also, we don't want it to be a permanent parking lot.
Right.
So I think that makes sense.
Okay, so let's make a motion to
Okay,
approve.
so do you want me to do it then, or do you want to do it, Steve?
Sure, that's fine. If you want to do it, that's fine.
So the motion would be to approve the demolition on the condition that the HABs report is made and filed with with what did you say, our
At the appropriate place.
library?
Yeah,
And,
just call it the appropriate places.
okay, right, okay, the HABs report in the appropriate places. And that, do you think the condition should be 2 years? And then within 2 years, if there is no construction, the applicant has to come back. Is
Okay.
that correct? That it
Come
the
back.
temporary,
Come back.
is that what
I
we
would
said?
say the applicant has to
Come,
come back with a plan to improve
Yeah.
the parking lot to our current
Right.
standards.
right, so if there isn't construction within 2 years, they must come back with plans to upgrade the parking lot to our design guideline standards.
Okay, is there a second to this?
I'll second.
Who is that, Mike?
Tony.
Okay,
Tony,
Tony, okay, we have a motion on the floor. Can we hear from the applicant? Does that work for the applicants then?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, great. Now, do we have any other questions from any of the other commissioners? Anything from the audience? I guess. no
Just
speakers.
can I ask a clarification? Is it under construction within 2 years, or is it plans to be submitted to the city regarding the redevelopment within 2 years? What's within 2 years? What does the applicant have to do within 2 years?
I think we need to approve a project on that site.
Okay.
Okay,
And
Does that
you know,
work
if
for
there's
everyone?
something in the works, we can always give it a short
Sure.
extension if something's happening. But I mean, I think
absolutely.
this is an incentive to move forward with the project, which they say they want to do. So
I just wanted to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Okay, so within 2 years, we'll have a project that will have been submitted and approved for, in process. Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Any other questions or comments from anybody else? Okay, so the motion would be to allow for the demolition, provision of the HABs, and this is a 2-year, we're going to allow the parking lot for 2 years, basically just paved over. And then within 2 years, it's provisional that within 2 years, the applicant would come back with a project that would be approved by the Downtown Commission, or the applicant has agreed to go in and bring the parking lot up to the current standards. So that's the motion.
The entire park, like the entire area?
yes,
Yes.
the entire park.
That's what
Not
we're
just this
hearing.
yeah, not just this
No.
parcel.
Okay, so that's what we're going to vote on. I'm going to ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That's 4 or 5 of us. And those opposed? Okay, what is that, 4 to 1? Louis? Bob
Yeah, I
Levers
think so.
is a no. Okay, so the demolition has been approved with those conditions. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
thank
Thanks.
you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Right.
Next case, please, Louis.
Okay. And let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, now we can.
Very good. So now we're into new applications. The next next case is at 655 Goodale over here on Reach, the White Castle site. They are installing a wall sign and a logo. I apologize, logo. So they want to install an illuminated wall sign and logo on the parapet above the 5th floor. The text portion of the sign will face east and say the Reach on Goodale, while the logo will face north. The logo and the Reach will both be front and halo lit, but the on Goodale lettering will not be lit. Each letter will have a day-night acrylic face with black returns and will be individually mounted to the facade. The total dimensions of the sign will be approximately 20 feet by 3 feet high, and the logo will be approximately 3 feet 6 inches in diameter. The guidelines state that wall signs should be proportional to the building to which they are attached. Illumination is supported. The proposal generally meets the guidelines for graphics and wall signs, and I did go out and take some site visit pictures. So here you have Goodale. This is where the text will be, and the logo is going to be up here on the north side. Just a little site context. This is where they came in for a proposal for the restaurant, and they have the pavilion over there.
Really coming along.
In the intersection, yeah, they're making quick progress. So that's it.
Okay, very good. Who's here for the applicant, please?
I am Tom Branham.
Okay, Tom, anybody else with you today?
No, just myself.
Would you please, we'd like to see you on screen if we could.
Where I'm at, I don't have access to a camera.
Okay, all right. Would you raise your right hand and just tell us you got your right hand raised?
Yep, it's
Do you
raised.
do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do. I
Okay,
do.
great. Do we have pictures of this sign so that Tom can walk us through it? Does Louis, do you have that? Is that in the proposal
Yeah, I'm pulling it up a
for
moment.
the applicant? Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, give us a second. He's pulling up your, there we
Sure.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a set of channel letters, and the word "the Reach" on Goodale during the day will be black, and then at nighttime it'll just be the word "the Reach" will be lit through the face, and they also will be halo lit, so it gives it a glow around the backside. And then the logo around the corner is the same, where it'll be lit from the face and halo out the back. It's just your typical type of channel letter construction with LED and so forth like that.
We have an elevation that shows where it goes.
So the large letters are 24 inches tall, and then the on
Yes.
Goodale is 12 inches.
It's 12 inches, correct.
Yeah, I think we need to see an elevation.
There we go.
There we go. There we
It's
go.
on there. We got it.
And the letters are proportional, with the building and so forth, we thought that was very proportional with what it needed and out towards the edge. For,
So many of these
pedestrians and so forth
skyline
going down the
signs
road.
come in and they're just huge. This one is
Right.
not, and I commend them for doing this. I think it's,
I agree. I agree 100%. And not only that, as I've driven by, some of the other signage on the buildings that we have approved is, I think, well done. So it looks good up there.
I move approval.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say aye. Okay, that motion carries. There are no opposing votes. Okay, very good. I think I agree. I think it looks good. It's very tastefully done. Okay, let's move on to the next one then, Louis.
Okay. So this the next one as well. This is going to be at 432 East Rich Street. Let me pull up the site visit pictures for you. And pull up
And
the
this again
location
is
on the map.
signage, is that correct? It's just signage?
Yeah, this one and the next one are going to be signage. Yeah, I can't approve signage that's at the top of a building that's higher than 25 feet, so these have to come in. So this one is 432 East Ridge Street. You can see it's this kind of nice historic looking building surrounded
It's a
by
lone
parking.
building in the middle of a parking lot. Imagine
Yes. Here it is. That's the location. Here is, it's been recently renovated into lofts. It used to be like a storage unit or a storage location I was looking at. It's pretty interesting. Still has original names on the bottom here for storage and fireproof.
Recently renovated about 20 years ago.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, wow. Well,
It was
92.
quite a while.
it's aged well. Yeah, that's good. So the one sign is going to go up here. Here's the facade. Here's where the other sign will be located. And
Okay,
this
where
shows
did you
you.
say where was the first
Sure.
sign you said?
So the first one's going to be on the east side right
got it.
here, up at this
Okay.
rectangle. I'll show the images in a moment. It'll go right up
That's
there.
fine, sure.
Yep. The next sign will go here. And to get some context, across the street, there's also just one little building all by itself. So they're the survivors of the last couple 100 years. So the report is that the applicant is proposing to paint 2 wall signs near the roof line of a 5-story residential building. The signs will feature the name of the building, Rich Street Lofts, in a flat white paint. The western sign will measure 10 feet by 19 feet high, and the eastern sign will measure 59 feet wide by 6 feet high. The guidelines state that wall signs should be proportional to the building to which they are attached, and sign messages should be designed in a simple fashion. The proposal generally meets the guidelines for graphics and wall signs. And here is the submission packet. So this is going to be on the east side. Got the dimensions of the letters and the signage. You can see that's where it's going to go painted at the top. Ridge Street Lofts.
So they leave the brick in the background is left, right? So it's outlined by a line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's a line around the whole thing. Okay.
Exactly.
And then the brick
then,
in the background, they're not painting the background then.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so here's the west side. And here it'll be as well, just the white paint.
And again,
that's
same
it.
thing, the background of this is the existing brick, right?
That's correct.
Nice.
Okay. Who's here for the applicant, please? Did we already? Oh, no, we haven't. Is there someone here for the applicant?
Yes. Hi, I'm Giovanni Furio, and I'm joined by Joe Henderson.
Morning.
Okay, Giovanni and Joseph, would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
I do.
Now, Giovanni, we're supposed to be able to see you if we talk to you, and I can't.
We can
I'm
see
not
him.
getting.
I
Where-
can see him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking around my screen. Never, I take that all back. We've got you. Thank you. Okay, applicant, do you want to go ahead and tell us what you got cooking here?
Well, we're fully aware of our historic building in the middle of a few parking lots, and we're proud of it. And
you've maintained it.
yes, we have as a resident inside of it, and you can see my space that I'm proud of, also working from home and joining you here today. But we wanted to put some branding on it to let everybody know what it is, and we're looking to illustrate that with our signage that we think matches our neighborhood. We put a lot of time and thought into what these signs should look like, including some metal signs that we have seen in the meeting here already. But looking around our neighborhood, we kind of see some illustrated signs such as this. So it's just going to be pretty simple, just our logo that we recently established, and just put that up in signage form so everyone knows what our building is.
Yeah, are you going to light it?
At this point, there are no plans to install any lighting.
Great.
I think we were excited to see some signage on our building that would show it off, but I don't know. I think if it needs it in the future, we might come back to you and ask about that. But for now, it's not going to be lit.
Is the idea that this is supposed to look like an old kind of an ad painting on a brick building on the side of the thing?
Absolutely. Around town on Main Street and 4th Street, you can see
Sure.
similar things, and that was our inspiration. I think that's exactly the idea.
Who do you
Giovanni,
get?
Great
Are
solution.
there people that get up there and paint this on there for you then? Is that
We do have Little Industries commissioned to do this work. They've done some work in this is his name is Adam, and he's in Blockfort downtown. So he's done some murals similar to this, I believe, in Easton. So he would be the one doing this. He seemed pretty comfortable. He didn't have any problem with this type of work. He
I
was
had
good to
a
go.
question about it, and I think it looks really great and works beautifully on your building. I noticed
Thank you.
on the rendering, I think it's the east facade, it looks like the paint almost looks like a wash, you know, where you can almost see a little bit of the brick from underneath the white. And I was wondering if that's the intention, that when the paint goes up, it's going to have almost like a little bit of a wash effect, a little bit of a translucency to it.
I lost you just a little bit there.
Oh, just when you paint it white, the flat white, it looks like on that
I
facade.
apologize if you can hear me.
Oh, can you hear me?
Gio, I could answer the question for her. Yeah, the
Okay.
goal is to have that kind of almost what we call a ghost painting, or kind of that's
Yeah.
real historic. We have done a painting very similar on the inside of the building in our main lobby. That's very similar to what's going to be on the west side of our building. We painted that on the inside of our building. As you get off the elevator, it's what you see. It's part of the branding of our condo building, which is the first. I think it was the first transition building to condos in downtown Columbus. So we're very proud of that, and we just want people to know we're here and know we're there, and like you said, the sea of parking.
I think it's a great solution.
I think it looks great. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
There's a
second.
motion to approve, and there's a second. That's Tony, I think.
Yep.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I love
Hearing
it. I think
none.
it's totally
I'm
appropriate.
sorry, go ahead. Tony?
I just think I love it, and it's totally appropriate. Looking forward to it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's great too. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's opposed. Thanks for bringing this in. I think it's great. Good job, guys.
I do too.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it. Okay, next case, Lewis.
Yep, so the next case is going to be at 33 East Nationwide Boulevard. It is here at the hotel. I forget what this hotel was before, but it just changed ownership to Sonesta.
I think it was a Holiday Inn of some sort or another, so.
All right.
I thought it was the Crown Plaza.
Crown
Crown
Plaza. Yeah, right.
Isn't that a Holiday Inn building? Holiday Inn Crown Plaza? At any rate, you're right, Crown Plaza. Okay, go ahead. It doesn't matter much.
Okay, so same thing. They're gonna be installing a wall sign, a skyline sign. So they want to install an internally illuminated skyline wall sign. The sign will say Sonesta with a logo and be located approximately 135 feet off the ground. The letters will have white acrylic faces with black returns, but the logo will have a white acrylic face with a white return. The signs will measure approximately 17 feet wide by 7 feet high. The guidelines state that skyline signs should be proportional to building height and mass, as well as be compatible to the building's architecture, illumination if supported. The proposal generally meets the guidelines for graphics and skyline signage. And then here you can see, this is the renderings that were provided. The building in its existing condition, there's with the signage, you can see it here. And then we had some further details about how the sign will be wired, and the size of the sign in details. So
What are the dimensions on the letters themselves? I looked through there. I couldn't really see that. And I don't get them.
30 inches.
Oh, 30 inches. Oh.
30 inches.
So what's the 7'8"? That's the whole thing going.
That's the whole
overall.
Yeah,
Oh,
overall.
geez. Okay, and then the logo thing up there is 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide.
Hmm.
I
This
frankly,
is
for,
good.
I don't, yeah, me too. I'd
Fits
say
the
that looks
building.
fine. By
Yeah,
the way, just for curiosity, what was there before when it was the Crown Plaza? Surely there was a sign up there somewhere, wasn't there? Or was there, Lewis?
Let me pull up Street View here real quick, see what I find. I think there was something very similar.
it must have been, but I don't
And
remember.
this is all is this all white? I forget. Did we say this is all white?
It's white with black returns on the letters and white with white return on the logo.
Okay.
I'm
Wow.
not, I'm not seeing
Giving us
anything.
some,
Oh no,
they're
yeah, I
giving
don't
us some
see anything on the
softballs today.
building.
Okay, I don't think it matters. What's anybody
Is
have a
this
comment?
on both the east and west side of the building?
No, it's
No,
just this
on
one
the corner.
location.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, the
Very
applicant's here
northwest.
as well if we want to talk to him.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let's
Oh, yeah.
get the applicant on board. Is who's here for the applicant, please?
Darren with Gray with Sign Vision.
Okay, Darren. Anyone else there from the for the applicant?
No.
Would you raise your right hand?
Sure.
You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If so say I
Thank you.
do.
I do.
Thank you very much.
We almost
Okay.
approved it without saying hello.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are rushing it today here.
Just to
Okay.
answer your question regarding the previous sign, just so you know, I don't know if it matters, but there was a sign on the north elevation, but then that was removed, and it said Crown Plaza, but there's just no visibility with the other building that was, put up afterwards. That's next door. There's just no visibility. So this was about the only spot that they felt was going to work for them. And
I think
good
it's a good,
spot because
not a
it
bad
pull
spot.
people in from High Street.
It's a
Right,
good spot
fits
from
proportions.
for a sign up there. Okay. What's the pleasure of the group, please?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Darren.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Motion's approved. Yep, good. Okay.
All right.
Okay, Lewis, what do you got?
I'm having trouble keeping up here. All right, here we go. The next one is going to be at, let me get it. There we go. Yes, 320 East Long Street. Let me pull it up here on the map. So it's at the corner of North 6th and East Long. We're into our conceptual review phase of the proposal. And this is for a tiny parcel right here on the corner, not the whole lot, just the parcel on the corner. I went out and I did take some site visit pictures of this location. But first, let me give you the description while that pulls up. So
Now we're going to build a little building in the middle of a parking lot.
Yeah, I'm not quite understanding.
Okay. So the applicant is proposing a multifamily structure on a 0.10 acre surface parking lot fronting on the corner of East Long and North 6th Street. The design calls for a 4-unit, 3-story L-shaped structure with parking on the first floor. There will be 3 2-bedroom units and 2 parking spaces each, and 1 single-bedroom unit with 1 parking space. Parking will be accessed via a new curb cut along North 6th Street. And the structure's materials will consist of brick, board, and batten hardy board siding, Anderson 100 series composite windows, Wayne Dalton style steel garage doors, and Therma-Tru smooth start flush glazed doors. The guidelines state that the built environment will continue to be enhanced and energized with new buildings and existing structures that promote good design, long-lasting building construction materials, and attention to detail, especially at the street level. A high degree of transparency is encouraged at the street level. However, additional private curb cuts are generally not supported. The proposal is generally consistent with the guidelines with regards to design. However, staff has some concerns regarding screening of the parking, transparency of the ground level windows, and the addition of a new private curb cut. So let me pull up the site visit pictures. Originally, this proposal had a wooden fence, a 6-foot wooden fence around their parking lot. And we went back and forth on that. I indicated that we would like to see something of higher quality. And so they removed that fencing. So now there is no fencing. So that's one thing that we could discuss. So here's the location. As you can see, it's right here on the corner. It's not this whole, it doesn't go all the way back to the alley. This is the front view. This would be on the south elevation. This would be the west elevation looking east. You can see the, and here we are looking south. So you can see here's the Normandy. Here's the old church that was renovated. Here is a curb cut, but this is not the curb cut they will be using. This will continue to be for existed parking. Here is another curb cut that exists, but this is not the curb cut that they will be using. Their curb cut will be a little bit farther north than this. So we might want to discuss.
And will they take this one out then? Is that the idea?
I don't know. I was just going to say that's something we should probably discuss with the applicant. What are the plans for this curb cut? And then here you can just see some more images. And this is what's to the west, just to give some site context, and to the south.
Louis, I had a just quick question. Because it's on this a larger lot, is that owned by one person, this larger lot, or owned by multiple people where this?
The rest, yeah, good question. The rest of the lots are owned by one individual, and this one smaller parcel is owned by the applicant. It's similar to what they did. If you recall, this Julie came in as well with a proposal for another similar building behind the, I think it was the tire shop. I forget which street it was on. We approved it.
Okay.
Something similar where they own a small parcel and they're putting this building in. And Julie's here as well to discuss anything.
Okay. Who's here for the applicant then?
Julio Valenzuela, that's me here.
Okay.
Julie Bullock.
Okay. Would you raise your right hands, please? Do you swear and affirm that the truth, or that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Why don't we hear from the applicant then, please?
Okay. And I can either pull up my site plan and share it, or I don't know if you want to pull it up, Louis.
How do we want to do that? One way or the other, we need to do that. Louis, do you want to do it, or Julie, do you want to do it?
I'm happy to do it. I think I just need permission.
Oh,
I got it. It's on. Can you enlarge it?
Yes. Oh, that's Louis, not me.
Yeah, I pulled it up for you if that's okay. You just wanted to tell me.
That's perfect. The less I have to do with the little graphics things, the better. So basically, let's just talk about the site plan first. So we're proposing, a single curb cut. It's currently a parking lot now, and this has been parceled off. So just a single curb cut, and we're entering from the back of the building. There is actually no parking lot on this property. There's just a driveway because all the parking is within garages. So and we're surrounded by parking lots on two sides. So I would just say technically the screening isn't supposed to be on our part. It is supposed to be on the parking lot behind us. The other owner's screening is what's provided. However, they're not doing any work right now. So that was one of my questions that we thought, well, we'll just talk about it today. So we are showing some landscaping, like a buffer adjacent to the existing parking lot. But I don't believe, let's just say the site compliance typically doesn't require screening in this situation. But of course, we want to know what the commission would like to do. It seemed to us like an open fence, a decorative fence, didn't do a lot of good for either party. It is behind the building, and it's not going to provide any screening from the adjacent parking lot. So we're kind of thinking, well, if we do anything, we prefer maybe just some landscaping or something that actually provides a buffer rather than like a metal fence or something like that, which is why I proposed wood in the first place. It's just it wasn't really for parking lot screening. It was for us not looking at the parking lot. That makes sense.
So is that driveway right on the property line then? Is that
on this side? Yes, it is.
And where are the curb cuts that we just saw, Louis?
Yeah, I believe the one is right here and the other one's further down, right, Louis? I believe.
Yes, one's about right here, and then the other one's farther north. I think almost right north of this parking lot or other curb cut.
So if we close the existing one and allow this one, it's not really a new curb cut. I mean, it's not an additional curb cut.
Correct. We would just be shifting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We asked the person who owns the parking lots behind us, there are currently no plans to develop that parcel. I'm sure at some point they will, but there's nothing on the boards right now and it's not in the works. So really we are just, addressing this development with really.
And by the way, they're asking for a curb cut on a side street too.
Yeah.
It's very much a side street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did push it all the way down. I've worked with transportation folks at City of Columbus that, they wanted as far from the corner as can be.
Sure.
So that's why we orient, and that we were pretty sure they wouldn't want us to have, the garage doors facing the street. So that's this solution.
And the other thing is you're showing 7 cars. So it's not as though we're going to have a traffic jam park, stacking and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's pretty, they're 4 units, 3 stories. They're not huge units by any stretch of the imagination, but mostly 2 bedrooms. So
I kind of think the fence around 2 sides is a good idea, just because it would give you more of a sense of not being in the middle of a parking lot.
But a decorative fence or a wood fence, that's what we've been trying to kind of get as to what.
I'd be okay with either one, I think.
Okay.
Because long term, I think it's temporary, right? I mean, long term, something's going to happen there. But while you're sitting in the middle of a big asphalt parking lot, this building has its own kind of environment, right? You're creating this L-shaped building and you're hiding the parking behind it, which is great. I just think it'd be nicer to not have people wandering through, and it's just my opinion.
I agree 100%, and I would say that I'd go a step further. And even if the adjacent property does develop, you still want to create this almost a courtyard effect in the back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me where these lot lines are. I see this dashed line and I see a landscaping bed. Have you set these buildings back a little bit, and are you intending to actually do kind of a landscape bed along the street side?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I like that. I think that's a great idea. As opposed, I know we all like everything right up on the lot line, but I think that'll, that can help this thing look good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's
and
just
do with the scale of it with three floors. I mean, it'll especially now, don't take this the wrong way, but especially if it's well done, it'll be a real amenity.
Well, one hopes it will be. But yeah.
I don't. By the way, I don't mean that as a snarky comment. I'm sorry.
Since Steve mentioned the planting bed, I had a comment about that. I know that on the ground floor, your windows are rather small because they're looking into the garage. And I'm wondering I don't know if you'd explore this or had explored this, if there's a way to maybe create a built-out planting ledge, and that might give a sense of a base and ground that ground floor a little bit more and add a little depth and interest, because you have that dilemma of, do you really want a large window there, but at the same time you want to sort of have some interest and a sense of base at that ground level. So I don't know, it was just one thing I thought about, maybe just building out almost like I don't know how tall, but maybe a little bit underneath where that where the window is, and then you can have plants around it, in it and to the side.
Even if it were a curb and that area were raised, like in a formal garden setting or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. But anything, I think, to give a sense of a base and to somehow aesthetically just ground those windows and give it more of a presence and a feeling like this is the ground level, and this has some type of I don't know, like, in other words, when you look at it now, it looks like it's less important than the ones above it, but I think it needs to look a little bit more substantial in some way.
I think that,
I think that's a good point. Remind me what that horizontal material on the first floor is, or first story and a
the
half.
first level is painted brick.
Okay. Oh, great. So where we
Yeah.
see the horizontal
The
lines
darker,
on there, that's painted brick.
yeah.
Okay. I think that's good. I'm just in the back of my mind, I get why we want glass. I don't know about glass looking into garages. I don't know what that does much for anybody. Maybe, it's set back from the street, so maybe that's okay. Maybe that just gives you light in your garage. And since it is set back, I mean, it's not a problem for somebody to look in.
Mhm.
Or you could use obscure glass if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I talked via email about with him, is possibly doing some sort of obscure glass. Julio, I don't know if you have an opinion on
I'm
that.
fine with that. I think that's something we can definitely,
Yeah.
would help security of it, I think. So we're fine with that.
Basically, I would rather not see obscured glass, frankly, but
Oh, okay.
it's just one person's opinion. So just to make
They're
your
pretty
argument,
high
just to
up,
make it
too.
easy.
They're
Are
pretty
they
high
pretty
up.
high?
Yeah, I'm gonna measure
I
that.
think they look great. I mean, I think having those windows into those garages is terrific. As long as I wouldn't want anybody looking into my messy garage, but.
But I think you get around that because you're set back with that landscaping.
In the middle
I
of
agree.
it.
Yeah.
Do you need some kind of a cap along the top of it? It looks like you're just running on the elevation.
There
I
is,
know it's
there
hard
is
to
a,
like, but it looks like you're just running aluminum siding right up to the top, and somebody forgot to put
if you zoom all the way in,
cap.
there's actually
I
a
see
cap
it.
drawn.
Okay.
It's, if you pan down and go there, to the brick there is a cap shown on there.
Okay, that's good.
I think this is a nice project.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Julie, I wanted to ask you, are you showing looks like you're showing a connection to the parking lot to the east, is that correct?
Oh, no, all that is a turnaround for this guy
Turning around your car.
and
I
this
gotcha.
guy, just to make it a little easier for him.
Turnaround spot, okay.
Yeah,
It's going to make
Oh,
it a little easier to get that one car in and out of its parking.
exactly.
Yeah.
Cars.
Yeah.
That should be a smart car or a little tiny car.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay, any other questions or comments? Are these the colors you're looking for? Kind of
yeah,
Ashbury kind of thing?
as far as colors, what we're envisioning is kind of a little bit of a lighter building. Trend seems to be last few years, last 10 years or so, that dark grays. We've got more of a lighter, creamier color, something more airy. I think it's time to start making a change from the grays, the battleship colors. And so that's kind of what we're envisioning for this. That's what we it's one of the thoughts behind having a painted brick, maybe a shade or two from the body color, but definitely a lighter looking building than what's been the trend. So that's the
great
aesthetic of the building. That's what we're envisioning at this point.
I had one other comment. I noticed, you have the 4 units, and one of them, the one that's L-shaped, because of the configuration, it doesn't have a balcony. And I was wondering, as you were developing the project more, if you were maybe thinking about trying to get perhaps a small balcony there, or, looking at the unit that's next to it and seeing if there's a way to modify that a little bit, how that balcony works, so you can get a balcony for the L-shaped unit. And I didn't know, I was just wondering your thoughts about that, or if you felt that wasn't necessary.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just given the size of that unit, and obviously that corner creates a lot of issues trying to be able to fit all that there. We didn't give it much thought as far as adding a balcony to that smaller unit. We can look at it. Julie and I can take a look at it. I'm not sure if it's something that we can physically fit in without intruding on another unit. But it's definitely something we can consider.
Okay.
It could be a small thing too, almost a, even almost kind of a Juliet balcony.
Really a balcony.
Mhm.
But it could do something, where you have floor to ceiling window there too,
Absolutely.
that you could open with a sliding, just almost, it's a window unit that you could open, but gives you access to the outside. And something to think about.
Yeah, because you don't have much room, but you have a little bit. And the one that's next to it, I think if the door were slid a little bit, I don't know the direction, if that's north, slid a little bit north, then maybe that could be cut, that larger balcony could be cut back just a bit.
Mhm.
Something, you're just in the conceptual, so it's just something you can play around with and see if it works for you and if it's something that could enhance your project.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments then? This is conceptual today.
Looks good.
Anything else?
Yeah, we'll look
I'm sorry,
forward to it
Stacy.
coming back.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
okay, thanks so much. Okay, thank you. Lois?
All right. Final project. So right now we're coming in for the applications for recommendation. So this project is located at 512, no, lost it. Here we go. 512 East Spring Street. It's right at the northeast corner of Mount Vernon and East Spring, and it's going to be at this bus stop, which is at this location. So what the applicant is seeking is a recommendation for the Department of Public Service regarding the construction of a semi-permanent CODA bus stop parklet in front of Columbus State Community College. It will stay up for 1 to 5 years, but will stay up longer if needed or desired by CODA. It would be placed on the public right-of-way under the pedestrian bridge. It is being designed in conjunction with students from CSCC and OSU, and will be similar to the parklet on Sullivan Avenue, and they did include a picture of that for reference. We can show that as well. It's going to have wooden planters, benches, and a platform, and a curb bridge will connect it to the sidewalk, and the bike lane will be routed behind the parklet. These structures must be temporary in nature and be able to be removed by the applicant at the request of the city within 24 hours. And the Department of Public Service will review the design to ensure it meets safety and quality standards. The guidelines state that downtown's environment and character will promote visual energy and excitement, and it will support multimodal transportation systems that embrace walking, biking, and transit. New development should support the multimodal status of downtown with particular consideration of pedestrian, bicycle, and transit access. So the proposal generally meets the guidelines with regards to design principles and sustainability. And I did take a site visit here, so give me one moment. I'll show you the context of this proposal. So here we see this is the pedestrian bridge. This is the bus stop right here at the corner. Just another view of it. This is looking west. So the parklet will come out here into the bike lane. The bike lane will go behind the parklet right there.
What do you mean it'll go behind it?
Right, so it'll be routed behind the parklet. The parklet will come out here.
Between the parklet and the curb, you mean?
That's correct. What they'll do is they'll put
continue to be there then, huh?
Yes, it'll go behind it. It's similar to other ones they've done, so you can see it here. And I'll pull up the let me pull up the proposal so you can see. So here's what the parklet will be. It'll be right here. They'll have this little, they'll have a little walkway here, and the bikes will go.
You have to step down, right?
No, so this is actually gonna be like a little raised, elevated area with kind of ramps on the side, so the bikes will go over it. So here's one on, so here's one on Sullivan that they're showing an example of the materials, but this one's against the curb. Right. Yeah. And so here they're showing an example. That's why they included this one. This one's from Spain. So it's not going to look like this with materials, but you can see how here there's a bike lane back there, and it kind of ramps over. And so the people are at a level with the curb.
So it'll be a jump ramp. Bikes will come through there and they'll try to jump.
And all the skateboarders will be going back there. So
God, what's a curb bridge?
What's what?
A curb bridge.
I think that's the little walkway thing with the little ramps on the side. So.
Or is that the thing that gets you over to? Can I ask a basic question here? and don't take this as, I'm not trying to be nasty. Why, what's the purpose of this? What are we doing here? Is it to make a more attractive bus stop, or is it to get on, be closer to stepping on to the bus because you're at a raised level, or what? Why are we doing this? What's the when somebody came to you and whoever says, oh, I'm sorry, before we get into this, who's here for the applicant then?
Andrew, and he'll be able to answer a lot of those questions. He's
Yeah.
from CODA.
Okay, Andrew from CODA. Are anybody else with you today, Andrew? Oh, can you unmute yourself? There we go. Anybody else with you today, Andrew?
No, just me today.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I was just going to ask, tell us what the background on this, the purpose of this is, please.
Okay, so there are a few different reasons. So in terms of CODA operations, one of the sources of delay for our bus lines is when they have to pull in and out of traffic. So in this case, the bus is currently pulling over into a bike lane and stopping, and then it's stopping behind some reboundable pylons. So when there's heavy traffic at this location, the bus just kind of sits there until it can get back out. And over the course of a whole line, this can add up to a lot of delay if this is the street condition. And then kind of simultaneously at the same time, the city of Columbus is working on Vision Zero projects, which are designed to improve pedestrian and just general traffic safety along corridors in the city. And CODA wants transit improvements to be included in that. So we're working with the city to kind of demonstrate projects like this. So when they do redevelop the street, it's both improving the Vision Zero goals and then also improving transit quality at the same time. Those two goals are not always aligned, believe it or not. It is always beneficial to have improved pedestrian safety for transit riders, but sometimes the road diet type of solutions can impede the transit speed too. So this is the type of solution that would be win-win for both transit and pedestrians and bikes is what we're hoping to demonstrate here. And then also in terms of neighborhood support, that's another thing we're trying to demonstrate. So sometimes we get complaints with bus stops that have narrow sidewalks and there's a lot of people waiting on the instead of storefronts and places like that. So this is also a demonstration for what can happen in locations like that, where we can help improve our relationships with the neighbors just by expanding the space for the waiting area and making it a little bit nicer.
Is this a kind of an urban thing or more of a suburban thing, or does it go better?
More of an urban thing. There can be, I would say, about as suburban as it would go as a streetcar suburb, maybe like Clintonville. But so far, the only other example that's similar to this I've seen is in Albany, California, which is in the Bay Area. It's part of Oakland's transit system. And in that case, what they did was they combined one of these parklets and they made it longer, and then they had restaurant seating on one half of it. That's something that we may be interested in doing in the future too. But in Columbus, building a bus bump out like this is a relatively new idea. So our other motive for this is just to get the city on board, because initially they were not supportive of bus bulbs, even though they're pretty common in other parts of the country and world. But now Columbus is pretty interested in this as a concept. So that was our other motive for using temporary materials for this.
What was their objections, Andrew?
So, to be honest, I think it was around along the lines of it just being new, honestly. I don't know if I think it was just kind of outside of their normal, and that was the main objective. I don't mean to rate anything off, but I do think I do think that was the main objection.
Okay.
What happens to snowplows and other people and cars that are speeding down that street? I mean, the Sullivan Avenue example, I don't think is not the speedway that that this street is. Is that a bollard I see out there in front of it?
Yeah, so this one has bollards kind of protecting it in front. The city installed those. It's also installed in a parking lot. So we would typically only install these in places where the curbside lane doesn't have through traffic. So in this case, it's a parking lane, and then there's the space that would normally be the bus pullover zone is protected by pylons here. So in same case for Columbus State, so it's a parking lane and a bike lane, and then there's a large pullover zone for the bus.
And the drawing says that that black and yellow thing is cast curb. Is it concrete? Is that what that is?
It's rubber, so it's a rubberized curb and it's bolted down. So, and that's
what's that supposed to
so
do? Protect your deck there?
yeah, it protects the deck, but the main concern is actually the bus tire occasionally bumping it. So that would be not a great thing for the wood deck. So that's why we have the rubber curb protecting it.
You know, I
You have
think this
bollards
is a
there on
clever thing,
Fritz?
and I get it that it's you know, it's good for the buses. I think my problem with it is it looks like it belongs in Clintonville or in a residential area, not on a busy street by a college. That the example you showed from Europe or wherever it was looked urban. The materials looked urban. It was metal and, you know, hard surfaces, and it looked like it belonged in a city. This one looks like it belongs in a garden or something. It's just that's my concern about it.
It's interesting, but I think the cut sheets show, if I could be wrong, but the planters and other components of this come in different materials. Is that correct? I thought I saw where,
I think
It,
different kinds of wood.
or was it
it
different
is
kinds of, I saw
correct. So
something that was, it looked red. I don't know if it was some type of a resin or plastic. Like, I don't know if that is also wood, or if this is just a different product that they make and it's not interchangeable with what you are using.
So that is a slightly different product. The one we chose is made of ipe wood, which is it's actually a very durable material. It's what they make boardwalks out of on the East Coast. So the wood is actually if nothing happens to it, it can last for up to 50 years outdoors. So it's a pretty strong material. I wouldn't rate it as durable as the hard plastic that the one in Spain was using. But the Spanish example, we're hoping to use their ramp for the bicycle area, which we think is the most, the area that's going to get the greatest level of impact, and it just needs a more durable material. But for the platform for pedestrians to walk on, we think the ipe wood will be pretty durable.
I'm not really questioning its durability. That is a good material. I just think the
The
aesthetic of
aesthetic.
it is just.
Well, I think the eBay deck would look fine, but it could also be, instead of having, for example, wood planter boxes, you might have something that looks, black metal or dark gray metal or bright red metal, whatever.
Well, even the
Or-
red, because if it's at Columbus State and you have the red bridge, and isn't their signature color, maybe I'm thinking, I don't know if their signature, maybe that's CCAD, the signature color is red, but maybe something that is linking in to that campus, an area, and offsets the amount of wood and gives it a little bit more of an urban feel.
You make it red, you better match the bridge red and not have it almost red.
Right. But that's just an example. It doesn't have to be red, but just something that, like you're saying, Bob, it might look a little bit too, were you thinking it just doesn't look urban enough, and that maybe mixing it with some metal for the planters might help?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that that campus is working very hard to be urban and pedestrian friendly, and so I'm not questioning the functioning of any of this, but it just it just doesn't look like it belongs downtown.
You know what? I agree with Bob. I think on that. I by the way, I think, to step back a second, we do have two issues here. One is if you're asking us for an opinion, one is the functionality. I mean, is there a reason for this, and does that make sense? And from my standpoint, I would say, yeah, I get it, and I think it's probably worth your trying to figure some of this out. I think, it raises questions. What does it do to traffic? Is that good or bad? And you obviously think it maybe does something good for traffic, or at least for the buses in the traffic. And then the second thing is the aesthetics. And I would agree. I think something you put out on Sullivan Avenue or Clintonville or wherever it is might be different than something you put downtown.
Mhm.
But that's something that could be worked on here.
So what the applicant's looking for is a recommendation to DPS. So he doesn't need a COA from us or a vote of approval, but he is looking for a recommendation. Sure.
So I mean, do they want that today, or is this a conceptual thing?
He's looking for it today.
I just wanted to chime in too and say, I just feel like I really appreciate this proposal. And I also see it in the context of an intervention that is, there's a bigger picture here, I think, in terms of there could be a little trial and error to this stuff, because I think long term, and I think the city has been doing a great job and working with a lot of different partners to try to think about how these multi-modes of transportation work together, whether it's bikes, people, buses, and there's a lot bigger initiatives happening across the city on this. So I'm super comfortable with this from the standpoint of to me, it's an intervention. We're going to probably learn some things from it. And I fully endorse it.
It's an experiment. It's a give it a shot and see how it works, and you're going to learn something from it. That's the way I see it.
Yep.
Yeah, and actually one more note, just for full disclosure on some of the material choices. A lot of it actually came down to budget. So the wood planters are less expensive than the aluminum ones, and the same thing is true for the platform. So the platform is less expensive than the material you saw in Spain with the plastic blocks. And frankly, we don't have enough budget for this project to buy the full Spanish one. And I also think I think it's more aesthetically pleasing than the plastic block. So we were interested in trying this, and because it saves money, and then also it's actually never been done before outside of Columbus to use these type of materials for a bus stop parklet. So we do like how it's worked so far, but I think in the future we are likely to purchase some of the full Zikla bus stop product. So have the whole platform be like the one you saw in Spain, if that makes sense.
How does that wood perform in the wintertime? I mean, I know when I had a deck, it was sort of slippery in the wintertime.
So it has a textured surface, and then Coda also, we shovel all of our stops that have bus shelters at them. So that would include this location. So we have a crew that comes out and shovels and salts it. But the surface itself is textured to be non-slip.
And there's no roof over this one, right?
No.
Right.
So this is just for loading and unloading pretty much. But is there a shelter there back on the curb?
Yeah, there is a shelter back on the curb.
So people might wait there, and then if the bus is about to come, they kind of step out and step onto this deck.
Yeah, and you can sit on it. There are benches on the deck too.
Okay.
Okay.
Does Coda plan on
What's everybody think? I think it's a go give it a shot. I think you've heard some thoughts and criticisms that I think are on spot. But I'd say I think it's worth trying out. I think it's an interesting thing. And I think to Ted's comment, I mean, we're at the moment right now where we're trying all this kind of stuff. And I think it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as it evolves, let's say it turns out that it just really works well and it's a great thing. You guys are going to tweak it, I assume, when you come back. Your chances are the next iteration is going to look probably look different than this one.
That would be my recommendation to public services, that they approve it on an interim basis, you know, like we sometimes do a temporary parking lot or something, with the idea that it's an experiment and it's temporary, and that if it works and there are going to be more of them, that design should be more carefully thought out and better funded.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can we
and actually, that is the spirit of this product. I should have mentioned this. CODA calls these, and actually the city calls these two mobility innovation tests, which is a bit of a jargony name. But the whole idea is to test these things out with lower cost materials before we build it with concrete or change the grading and drainage of the street and do all those other things.
Yeah,
so that
makes
the
sense.
idea behind this is just
You're
to
almost testing the
demonstrate
function
and
first.
test.
Yeah.
I
Bob,
had
can we make that a motion from you, Bob, what you just said a minute ago?
Sure.
To make a
Like I
recommendation
said.
to the department to DPS. And can we have a second on that then? And then Jen, I'll get back to you.
Oh, sure. Second.
Okay, thank you, Jana. Okay,
Oh, sure.
another comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, I saw in the Department of Public Service, there was I think it was a specification sheet, and it talked about some concerns about bolting into the street. So I just wanted to make sure that however you're bolting that into the street, or how that's being attached to the street, if that's within their guidelines.
So typically they do not want people to bolt things into the street, but they're aware of it, and if it does cause damage, it's going to be CODA's responsibility to cover the cost.
Okay.
And then also all of the like safety and building things, they're being pretty closely reviewed by Department of Public Service. So they should be aware of anything like that.
I think from the standpoint of the Downtown Commission, we're kind of looking at design stuff, and I think you're going to work everything that, they're not going to let you get to something they don't want you to in the street. Okay, so we have a motion to do a recommendation to the Department of Public Service to approve it, with the idea that it's experimental and on an interim basis, and that if it works out and it goes to the next step, the design would be continued to be reviewed. Is that kind of what we're talking about? Okay, and that has been seconded. Are there any other questions or comments? Andrew, anything? I think it sounds good. I think they should go out and try it out. Let's go see what happens. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Okay, you'll get a recommendation from the Downtown Commission based on what we just discussed then, Andrew. Thanks for bringing this in.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Okay. All right, so keeping on moving here. So what's next is just we have the staff approved applications. We had some wall signs, some charging stations, ad murals, a canopy sign, some directional signs, some storefront repairs, minor things like doors and stuff like that. So I'm just looking for a vote to place these into the formal record.
Is there a motion to approve the
approval.
Staff approvals? Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Okay, that was Ted. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, great.
Okay. And then
Next
the new
is
business. Yeah, as we were discussing before the meeting a little bit, there's the business meeting on 7/13 to discuss graphics. As you know, we have this was requested by the commissioners. We have two initiatives that we're exploring. I've been working with the city attorney's office, building and zoning services planning division. The director of development has been involved somewhat to discuss the adoption of, I think it's 3377.08, the illumination standards, which are applied to the rest of the city for lighting, about adopting those downtown. And the other one would be the review of private art. That's like large murals on the sides of buildings. So we're going to have that business meeting. It's going to be held in the hearing room. And then the second thing of the new business is you should have received an email from Mark Javillis stating that we're returning to in-person meetings. So that will be starting in July. So hopefully you're all ready to come back in. They'll be in the hearing room. We'll have they're going to be cleaning the room down. Everyone's encouraged to wear a mask, but we can't require it. And so that's the new business. Is there any questions on either of those two items?
Louis, would you just make sure that you are sending us out before this meeting, send us out that the graphic standards that we're going to be looking at for the rest of the city?
Yes.
Okay. And then also, what was the second thing you mentioned? Whatever we've got on the existing standards for art, review of public art or art in public places, whatever that is.
Yes, I can send out the appropriate code sections. I can send out materials for you to review. That's what you're
Great.
looking
Thank you.
And Louis, you said that the business meeting is in person as well.
Yep. Yeah, unless anything changes, and I suppose it's going to pass here without being reissued, the emergency order expires in the beginning of July. So after that, everything's going to go back to in-person meetings. I'm anticipating the business meeting and the July meeting being in person.
Now, when you say in the conference, you mean where we did have our downtown commission meetings in the big room?
Yeah. Usually the business meetings are in a smaller office on the third floor, but because of still coronavirus concerns, to have plenty of space, we moved it down to the hearing room. So that will be in the hearing room.
That's fine. Good. Okay.
Great.
Any questions, comments? Anybody got anything else?
Should we invite oh God, I can't remember her name. The woman who runs the art commission.
Lori Boudreau?
Yeah, should we invite her to that art discussion, or is that opening bigger cans of worms?
Let me think about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look into it. We'll see if it's appropriate at this point in time. It's something we probably want to bring her into later on, but I'll think about it. It's a good idea.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Sounds good.
Okay. Listen, thanks everybody for your time and attention today. Appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
See you guys soon.
Great rest of the week. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Meeting is
See you later.
adjourned. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank
Goodbye.
you. Have a good week.
Bye.